it's been a little bit since we've seen you. Was that entirely by design, or was it just circumstantial? Would you prefer to be back in there sooner?
I wish it was by design. Unfortunately, we've been. There's a variety of things of why we haven't been back in. I haven't fought since August 2018. Obviously, straight after that fight, which was, if anybody can remember, UFC 270's Pedro Munoz. It was an absolute barn burner. Arguably, fight of the night, people were saying. But for me personally, it was a fight I absolutely. Out of all my fights I've had 17 professional fights, that was my favourite fight. I come away with a loss that one by a decision against number 5 in the world. Before that, I lost to another guy who was number 2 in the world, Aljamain Sterling. So, it kind of at the time, it did really dent my confidence coming off 2 losses. But watching them guys progress after that, it kind of picked me back up. Knowing, of course, I didn't sign them fights to lose. I signed them contracts knowing full well that I can beat these guys. And it was hard to accept the losses, really hard. I wanted to get straight back in November. Turns out they didn't have room for me on the card. I took a grappling fight on Paul Harris, injured my knee in 44 seconds, so that probably even longer. Took me 2 months to get over that, and then in February they offered me a fight for UFC Nashville, which was, it was UFC London the week before. I feel like I'm owed that shot in UFC London, but it was the week after. They offered me a name, and then my right one went in the grappling fight, and then in February my left one went, and then it was just literally a case of not knowing what was going on. Then I was going out a lot, I was drinking a lot with my friends. I was not too much, but having a decent life then. I've never really had a sociable life. I'm lucky I kind of juggled the two really well together. And then my brother slapped me down April time last year and he said, look, I think we should do the UFC PI for 3 weeks. Let's go and check how your body's going. Let's go see these guys, have a chat with them. Let's just go there for the experience. And when I went out there, I think subconsciously I was in this rut. And it was very, very disappointing to be in that rut. I'm a guy who loved this sport, but going through the beginning of 2018 all the way through to the end of 2019, it became a job really. I won't say to the end of 2019, I say middle of 2019, it became a job. When I went to Vegas and come back, I was a new fighter completely, and I felt like it was a new me. I've been in this game a very long time, bearing in mind, everybody gets sick of their job at some point, and I definitely went through that rut. And after my back from Vegas, I think I was really close to stopping fighting. I think I didn't know at the time, but when I look back now, I think I was quite close to finishing.
Was it a job because you were coming off losses, or did it feel like a job because you were coming off losses, but then also had the other circumstances that were keeping you from being able to rebound as quickly as you wanted to?
Yeah, 3 major things really.
Yeah.
So number 1 would be the losses. Of course, it kind of picked my spirits up watching these guys perform and do really well. But I want to do it for me. I want to beat these guys. So that was number 1. Number 2 was injuries. Picking up injuries every 15 seconds was probably really frustrating. And another factor was arguing with a lot of people background stuff. It takes away from your mental aspect of the game. For me, one of my best attributes is my mental side of it, and I love fighting. And my best tool is my brain, 100%, but it's also my worst as well. So it was very frustrating to accept the losses. It was very difficult to accept the injuries, and it was very hard to argue with people backstage as well, behind the scenes. And it did kind of put that thing where I was going to the gym, but I was forcing myself to the gym. I'd never miss a session, mind, but I would always force myself to the gym. I'd do my hour session, I'd grab my bag and go straight home. And I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. And the reason why I got into this game was for the love of the sport, and I felt like that definitely started washing away 2019. We're back now though, and I feel more motivated than I ever have before, and that was the biggest thing for me.
From the mental side of things, knowing that you had been at that place where you were maybe ready to just walk away from it, but then also knowing that you were able to sort of battle through that and get to a spot where you feel like you are now, does that give you even more confidence in the mental side of things?
Yeah, man.
You can handle that kind of thing?
Yeah, 100%. Knowing full well that you were at the brink of stopping, and then you kind of take into consideration that where you're going after that is a huge deal for me. I've been at the bottom. I know what it's like at the bottom. I don't like it. Okay, I don't think nobody likes it, and I'm not saying that's just me that's gone through this. There's a lot of other fighters that have probably gone through this as well. I have taken every little step to try to get everything sorted out. My preparation, my fitness, my mindset, my weight cut. You know, I want it all to go together. And I am a little bit more anxious this time because I want everything to be perfect. I do. At the end of the day, I am a perfectionist in this game, and like if I don't do something right, that will eat away at me, and I don't like it. You know, I try my hardest at everything I do. I honestly, I do my absolute hardest to be the best, physically, mentally. You know, my diet, my nutrition, my weight cuts. You know, I'm not a small 35er either. You know, I'm quite a big 35er, so I make sure that everything, like the cut, goes perfect. So come Saturday night, then I'm feeling absolutely fantastic to go in there and get the job done.
Talk to me a little bit about Tony and what he brings to the table, what he's good at, what you've seen from him, you know, like his contender series fight, that kind of stuff. You know, what are his strong points, I guess?
Tony's a strong athlete overall. You know, I've looked at his game and he has not been taken lightly. I fought number 2 and 5 in the world, but my hardest fight is this Saturday against Tony Gravely. It doesn't bother me with rankings. I think rankings is just a load of rubbish in my opinion. I don't believe of the ranking system. Tony Gravely will come into this fight the best shape of his life, and it's a good thing that I am as well. You know, and I don't want to fight the worst Tony Gravely. I want to fight the best Tony Gravely. You know, he's in incredible shape. He looks ready. He looks well. That's the guy I want to fight. I don't want these easy tests. I've never backed down from any fight. The only fight I've ever backed down from was the Pedro Munoz fight back in February, and they said, why didn't you take the fight? I said I was too heavy. In August I signed to fight him again. You know, it's just to prove that, you know, like I said, it goes back to the previous question of being a big 35er, you know. But now, Gravely's a tough opponent. I've listened to his interviews. He sounds ready to go, you know. And for me, that excites me, you know. Like I said, I'd be absolutely devastated if he doesn't come in the best shape, because I'm not in this game to beat bums. I'm in the game to beat good fighters and just to prove to the world that I'm one of the best fighters in the world, because I do genuinely believe that I'm a top 10, top 5 fighter. Just had a bit of luck and a bit of a bumpy road in the past.
The 2 losses in a row, does it put a chip on your shoulder? Does it give you extra motivation to say, hey man, I have to perform on Saturday night? Or is it still just another fight and you can't allow yourself to have any kind of pressure on you?
For me personally, the 2 losses, yeah, it has put a chip on my shoulder, I guess, where I'm like, right, okay, I need to perform. But in the same breath, this fight on Saturday is more than the sport. For me, it's a massive personal goal to win this fight. This isn't for MMA, this isn't for the UFC, this isn't for my sporting career, this is for my life. I know full well that I need this win to be mentally the best I've ever been. It's just a proof that all the hard work that I've put in over the last 10 years is not going to waste. Now that's enough motivation for me to go in there and fight on Saturday night.